Oh, look at what we have here. This is something that I've been searching high and low for a very long time. They always manage to just slip away from my grasp. But we finally found one, and it followed us home. I'm just so excited about it. What is this and the significance of it, you ask? Well, it's only a frame from like the most common truck ever built, 1952 GMC chassis. It's got an upgraded 235 in it. It's got good old-fashioned bi-supply tires on it. Guess that's a big deal. F7815 tubeless 4-ply polyester cord. That's a nice tire. What are these? Caravans from Co-op. There's a Saskatchewan icon. The only natural thing to do with this, I think, is to see if we can't get it to run. Now, first thing first is I was told that this thing had a tarp on it up until last week. Now, I don't know how long it had a tarp on it, and I don't know when last week was, but I guess we'll find out soon enough here. We'll just look at this here. This usually tells us something, I guess. Not seeing any signs of water in it. Looks like it's just oil, near as I can tell. See, it has been sitting outside for a while though. Looks like they kind of cared when they took this all apart, but like all of this is good. This is of course for hybrid conversion. I guess we'll just start by de-snakeifying all this wiring here. Oops. It's fine. Oh, wait. Somebody really did this one, eh? There's literally the whole harness here. I gotta say, normally when people do their frame swap abominations, they just cut everything. But somebody really actually took some time here to carefully disassemble this. Another thing, they didn't chop off the steering column like so many do. They actually unbolted everything and took it off like a normal person might consider doing. Oh, there's so much going on here. This looks, oh, I know, this is headlight wiring. And this over here is for this thing, which goes to ignition. Wow. They did steal the battery cables though for some unknown reason. That's okay. I think we'll just all the wiring, because we're not going to need any of that to get it to run. It's probably got more problems with it than solutions. Might as well continue being courteous and label these wires here. One time when I had a real job, I had to pull all the front sheet metal off of a what are they called? You know the cars I'm talking about. Anyways, I came up with this complicated Egyptian code for all the where all the wires went, and I had it all labeled out. And then 6 months later, my coworker, he had to put the car together, and he took one look at my code that I had come up with, and he had absolutely no idea what was going on. And then he asked me, and there was no logic there at all. I have no idea whatsoever. It was just all over the place. And so yeah, he really struggled with that for days, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. New to these will it run type videos, but according to my research, the way this works is I'm just supposed to spend about 2 hours talking, about 5 minutes working, and just drag the thing out for as long as you possibly can. So just let me know if we're doing this right here. Now we're just going to remove this unit here, get a general interpretation of how much water this thing has sucked in over the past 4 decades. It's been sitting outside probably. What kind of fastener is that? Oh, has that been upgraded? That's a Phillips. It is a Phillips, but it's very stripped. Good. I don't know if you can see down in there or not, but that throttle plate looks a little corroded. A little bit of light surface rust. Moisture getting in. Yeah, it's got water in it. Not a lot, but definitely water. That's kind of gross. Oh well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the fuel injection off, and then we can get a better visual down into this tube thing here, so we know how much has gotten into it and what our plans are for the future. This turns out to not be exactly as advertised. There's going to be a massive lawsuit, I can guarantee you that. Lots of drama. Lots of confrontation. Heard that's how you succeed on YouTube. Subscribe for more shocking revelations. Kyle doesn't know what he's doing? I never would have guessed. That's not bad. Okay. Remain calm. Okay, that all looks really good in there. So I'm not, that was our concern, because this vacuum port wasn't plugged, so it may have been and it just flew off or something. Because I think if you're gonna go to the trouble of plugging, like even the fuel line and everything else, you probably would make sure that this was covered. So I'm not seeing any signs that moisture made it this far, so that's very good. I bought these before where, you know, they supposedly were a great engine, and then you pull the carburetor off and it's just like a block of rust in here. This is all looking pretty good. So again, that's just the nature of playing with old cars. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's nobody's fault but your own. We did get our fuel injector off here, and this is gonna have to be redone here, if not replaced with a different one. We're just having a look here, and this did get some moisture in it. So I don't know if we can, I'm just trying to move the linkage here while holding the camera. You can see that is it's a bit tight. So I do have a carburetor kit, and I do have other carburetors if this one's junk. So that's really so you can see there it does have a little water in it, but I guess it could be a lot worse. But this is tight, and so we'll have to do something about that. I guess we could just dump gas in it and go for broke, but that probably would make for a better video, I think. But I'm not here for making good videos. I'm here for wasting your time. So thanks for allowing me to waste your time. I certainly do appreciate that. Now we're gonna go on over to the passenger side, or driver's side, I guess, for our European friends. And we'll just pull out the spark plugs here and take a look at what's going on there. We managed to avoid any drama on the other side. Don't worry though, there will be drama. I know that's all you're here to see. Don't worry, I'm gonna play the spark plug removal in slow motion during the editing process so you can really get a full grasp of what's going on here. Has been sitting for a while, I think. Yes, sir, it has. Yes, ma'am. Yes, thing. Whatever you are. Don't really care. Yeah, this is not run in a fair spell, I reckon. I wasn't gonna use those anyway. That thing's been set in a while. Well, this may be more dramatic than we originally intended. Lucky you. I think I'm gonna just pour some of this goose grease down in here and let it soak for a couple days before we try doing anything too dramatic. Just don't like how rusty them plugs are looking. While the engine is soaking, we're going to dismantle our fuel injector throttle body here and let that soak for a while as well. And everything will be all good as new. Mainly just filming this so that I can remember how it all goes back together. Because I will put things on backwards, upside down, and wrong for as many times as it takes. It's supposed to come off, isn't it? There we go. That's been in there since the dawn of the ages. Not bad. Smells like old gas. That's a good sign. Smart, I'd probably take these out first. That's been in there for a while. Just a little crunchy. That's okay. Sort of a lime deposit on this. Fascinating. And that is seized in there. Perfect. We do have a bit of a Bit of a situation here. This device here is supposed to move freely up and down. It runs off of vacuum, I believe, and it's become seized in here. So we're gonna try to free that up, I guess. Don't really have much choice. I wonder if they actually think their car sounds good. That is tight. Oh, come on. Yeah, this thing wasn't gonna run the way it was. Well, it may have ran, but it wouldn't have done much beyond that. It's kind of gurgled or begged for an early death. I would just use the new accelerator pump that's in the kit. But I will set this one aside just in case it could be revived. I heard somebody say you could soak these in ATF and it would bring them back. So if anybody's ever tried that, leave a comment and let me know. Today on Name That Goo, leave a comment if you can identify this substance that we found inside the fuel filter. Isn't science fun? So we've made the heart-wrenching decision to remove the valve cover and just check and make sure that everything is intact on the top end and pre-oil everything and whatever we got to do there, just because everything else looks really dry and I don't think this thing has run for a long time. So I think for the amount of time it takes, we could just deal with that now rather than run it dry and risk ruining something that might still be good. But the main reason is I don't care at all and I'm just trying to milk this for as much content as possible. So let's get at it. I definitely don't know anything about engines, but other than being pretty dry, I don't really think there's anything horribly wrong here, but it definitely has not been running in a while. It looks like all the oil's kind of turned to a petrified sludge, so I don't think we did any harm. Well, I'm just going to oil some sort of oil all along here and just get it into all these crevices and whatever, just so it's not dry. I'm not too sure, like, the orientation of this. Is it supposed to be straight up and down, or does it just aim back into the abyss there? When I took it off, it was jammed up against this push rod, which I don't think it's supposed to be. You can see where it was rubbing there. So I don't believe that is correct. I think it should probably be like, I don't know. It shouldn't be touching that, I would assume. But anyways, other than that, all looking promising here. I'm not going to turn it over quite yet because I'm still soaking down these cylinders, so I'm going to let it soak for overnight or whatever we got to do, and then we'll soak the top, and then we'll kind of crank the whole thing over, make sure it's doing things, I guess. None of these springy things are sticking or whatever they are, and then we can kind of get a better idea of what's going on here. Well, it's the next day here, and I sincerely wish that YouTube came with smell-o-vision, because last night I pulled the top off this fuel pump, foolishly thinking that I could somehow revive it, and what greeted me was some sort of strange Christmas gelatin dish all inside here, and you can see it's managed to dry out now. but the smell, it still lingers, and it's the smell of old stale farm gas. I just wish you could be here to enjoy it with me, but unfortunately I don't think this is going to be a good fuel pump revival here. So I wasted half my day in the city, and we bought some treats here. We got ourselves a China pump and some new fuel line and some clamps. And we got some Bondo for increasing the compression, some cheap oil. So I'm so confident that this is gonna run, we're gonna change the oil on it. And then I tried to get spark plugs, but there's no way I'm paying $8 a piece for stupid spark plugs now. So luckily I never throw anything away, so I found these in the basement that came out of a running car. I think they'll work. Clean them up a bit and toss those in there. I just went through a real archaeological journey of fuel pump gaskets, but we finally managed to reach bedrock. There's at least 3 on there, plus a bunch of RTV and whatever else. So that was kind of a nice thing to find. I'd imagine they would probably have less fuel pump issues if they had maybe cleaned up a gas tank or something like that. But again, I'm not a mechanic, so not too sure. But either way, I think we're ready to go here. For some reason, these China pumps, the thing here is a lot thicker. So I found some bolts that are hopefully going to be long enough, because the stock ones won't work, and if you go to put everything together and then try and use the stock ones, then you'll be very upset, because I've done that several times now. And this time I finally think I learned my lesson. I'm gonna do something radical here and change the oil before I get it running, just because normally I wouldn't care, and I still don't care, but it was sitting outside for I don't know how long, so if it's full of water, I don't really want to be, pumping that around throughout the various components, if you know what I mean. I'm not seeing any water, so that's good. If there was water, the oil, I think it floats on top, so it would have just come pouring out. I've been there, done that. Want to do it again? That's fine. That was unnecessary. But now we know. That's all that matters, right? Yeah, I pulled the plugs back out, and I'm going to crank this thing over. So just keep an eye on all these spring things for me, if you don't mind, and make sure that they're doing everything that they need to do. I don't know, looks like all systems go from my perspective. How does it look to you? Alright, this is the big test to see if the starter works. Everything is riding on this. Sure, works just fine. Okay, well, the ignition system has been fully rewired, so now we're going to check for spark. I have not looked inside of here yet. Don't know what to expect. Not much, I guess. Is it's on there, I can assure you of that. He's sealed up good. Okay. You thought this was scripted. Well, how wrong you could be. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. Clean this up a little bit, but it's not terrible. Just wanted to take a quick moment here to troll Scott from Cold War Motors with my nice plastic fuel filter here. I know how much he appreciates this kind of thing. Always time for a good troll here at Carter Auto Restyling. Wants to go. It's definitely getting fuel. Just don't think it's got a very good spark. First of all, the engine probably was tarped, but they didn't have anything else tarped because the bell housing and everything else is completely full of water. So I kind of wish I would have taken that off beforehand, because now it's all flung around and hopefully hasn't ruined the clutch, if there's even any clutch left in this thing. Probably not, but still not great. This thing did not want to go, and then once it did go, it seemed fine. But well, just speculating right now, but I think what was happening is the plugs kept fouling out because of all the oil and stuff I dumped in. Because I had to take them out twice, clean them off, and then first time after you saw me clean it off, it fired up and then it wouldn't go again. Then the second time, after I cleaned them, then it went again. The other thing I had to do is I had to put my battery charger on 6-volt start, just to give it a little extra juice. It just did, and then finally that's when it popped off and started running. But so I don't know if I just got weak spark as well. I was getting spark at the points, and I checked spark at the plugs. I was getting spark there, so I don't know if we got a weak coil or condenser or something. But like I said, once it eventually barked off, then it seemed okay. But I'm gonna call that a success either way. It did run, and it's not making bad noises. We were getting oil pressure, so that's cool. So worried about that, but we yeah, as soon as it barked off, it started building oil pressure. So these don't have a lot of oil pressure, but enough to get oil to the various orifices inside the engine. So I think that's what we're going to call it there. I would like to check and see if the clutch works, but I'm just going to let that air out and whatever before we do anything else, and we'll let it cool off. There is coolant in the block itself, but there's nothing, no radiator, in case you haven't noticed. Oh, something truly wonderful has happened. We have a sponsor. And they've sent me something very special to install. Fi-Fi-Tek. It's a wonderful new fuel injection system for when you want the added cost and complexity of fuel injection without any of the reliability. First of all, I just wanted to thank them for sponsoring me. After the fiasco with our last sponsor, it's been tough to find anyone who would actually endorse any of the stuff that we're doing, but this company has. Fi-Fi-Tek. I also wanted to just thank them so much for the beautiful packaging job they did. Really, apparently everything I need is in this box here, so I just want to dig in here and see what all is here. This is a standalone unit, so it's very easy to install. I'll show you here shortly, but we're just going to open it up here. Always cut towards yourself. And you can see, just digging in here now, it comes complete with a full wiring harness, all labeled, easy to understand. Here's your throttle body setup here. This is a direct, not even a bolt in fact, if you just set it in place on top of your existing carburetor, and it figures things out on its own. It's got a computer in there, and it's smarter than we are, so this is all very nice. And then we have our computer controller. This mounts inside in your interior, and then you can adjust all of your various adjustments, and it comes with this this here as well, which will show how this all works. Don't worry. So let's get started here on this installation. Oh yeah, I'm excited. Are you? I should hope so. So step one here is just to install your new Fi-Fi-Tek throttle body on top of your existing carburetor. It's quite simple. Just simply set it in place. then secure it down with this tape, sold separately. Make sure you get an even, consistent tape job here so you don't have any vacuum leaks. You don't even need a screwdriver to install this. It's just pretty amazing, to be honest. Yeah, that'll do her. So this is secured now. You can just position this however you want. I'm going to set it for a slow idle here, like there. If you're a cave dweller like me, one of the things that's probably always put you off from this fuel injection thing is the wiring. Well, thanks to Fi-Fi-Tek, they've now made it an absolutely seamless process. You cannot possibly mess this up, believe me. So, first of all, they've made it so we can reuse our packaging for the installation. So we've got our packaging set on the side now. And then we're just going to take a little bit of Bondo sold separately. Add the hardener, again, sold separately. Oh, they kind of gypped me on this here. There we go. So now we're just going to mix it up. Want a good thorough mix here. You don't want to get any pinholes in your wiring. Swing it around if you have to. And don't forget to add in the wiring as you're mixing. I want to kind of scoop it into a pile here in the center. That ought to do it there. And then you just take your computer modulator here, and you plug that in to this end, like so. Just seal it up in there. Then we take our main harness here, which has been labeled for us, and what you want to do is you want to plug this end into here, just like that. And then you take the other end, and don't worry about that, it's okay. It's okay. And maybe we'll plug this end in first. You just feed this into here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, gentle. There we go. Okay. Hold that there. And this yellow wire, just take that and you just wrap it around like this a few times. Over here. And into here, just like that. That's all good there. Maybe we'll seal that up a little better. Yeah. go. Now we got her. We got her. We got her. There we go. Install a little here for good measure. Oh geez, I almost forgot. There's a couple other wires here we gotta install. These just plug into here, like that. These two, these ones just go like that, and like that. There you go. And we don't want to forget about this little guy here. Where do you go? Just so you know, this doesn't come with any instructions. It's so simple, you don't need them. Believe me. Okay. There we go. Good. Done. Okay. Just gonna let that set up for a few minutes here and then we'll come right back. Okay, now that we got our unit installed here, all that's left to do is to set it up and program it here. So we're just going to insert our computer disk here. And then we're just going to go over to our selection button right here. And we're just going to select Conway Twitty. And set this over here. This about here. And this here. And then you just gotta wait a couple minutes here for it to warm up, and then it'll just fire up just like that. And there you have it. It's just that easy. What a great unit, and it only took us a couple minutes to install here, and it should be good to go now. So if you're like me and you want to try out this fuel injection stuff, this Fi-Fi-Tek unit here is priced very reasonably. It's only about $7,500 US. So I think it's well worth the price for what you're getting. So if you want to hop on into the description of this video, there'll be a link to where you can purchase this. If you want to put in the Carter Auto Restyling discount code, they'll overcharge you by about 5%. Don't miss out on that offer. And like I said, check out the old description there for a link to the Fi-Fi-Tek, and it's something I certainly recommend because they paid me to say so. Well, it's the next day here, and you can see we've been busy doing stuff. Plan was to get this to the point where I could test the clutch on it, and I think I'm gonna have to just hold off on that now. The problem here is that like we're kind of rushing to get things done because I gotta get this video out today. And it's already 2 o'clock, and I wasted the whole morning rigging up a radiator on it, which is supposed to be a 10-minute job, but then I had to weld patches in the front cross member because it was broken, and then I had to track down a radiator support, and then I had to cobble together rad hoses and just the usual. So that took way longer, and then we started trying to make something here, and I just know this is not going to end well. So we're gonna have to wait to test the clutch until I get the cab mounted on here. I think that'll be a safer choice there. I'm not so worried about myself. The problem is as soon as I get this thing going and you know, go and test it and whatever. Somebody, I don't know, this place is like a circus freak show attraction. So as soon as I started trying to do something, the more sketchy it is, the more people just come and drive by and start rubbernecking and hanging around, and like they'll just like park their vehicle like right in front of the driveway while I'm trying to move some horrible thing with no brakes and whatever, and then they just stare, or they come and talk to you and they point out really obvious things like, hey, there's, I don't know if you noticed or not, but there's no body on here, or oh, your tires have some weather checking on them, you better get those replaced before you go too far. So of course none of this is my problem at all. This is just everyone else, you know, just conspiring against me, obviously. So like I said, we're gonna have to abandon this idea. Plus, if the clutch ends up not working, if it's totally cooked out of this thing, then I don't, you know, my fragile ego can't handle another crushing defeat right now. So I think for this video, we're gonna end on a high note. We're gonna try firing this thing up one more time, see how it does, and then we'll call it there. We'll call it a victory, I think. Well, I gotta say, for somebody like me with limited to zero mechanical ability, this thing, I'm quite pleased with this for what it is, I guess, anyways. I mean, it's not smoking anymore out of the exhaust anyways. There is oil leaking here, so it's smoking from there, but I'm not too worried about that. But like, this thing is just smoking like a bugger before when we first got it going. Other things we've noticed or observations that we've had. I think this thing was being hard to start originally for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think we already mentioned it, but the plugs were getting fouled from all the oil we dumped in. So that was a problem we created for ourselves, but I think it was the right decision to kind of pre-oil everything. The second thing I've noticed is when I originally got this engine, I could just like basically turn the thing over with like two fingers on the fan blade. There was like, it just felt like there was no compression at all. And now, like, I think this is loose, but you can actually, it's actually got some compression now. Actually feels like a fair amount. So this thing, I think all the rings were probably stuck as well on it, and just running it through those couple heat cycles just kind of loosened everything back up, because this actually, I don't know, it came back around for sure. It's also showing even more oil pressure than it did the other day. I mean, these things didn't really have a whole lot to, even when new, but I think we were around 15 before, and now we're up past that a little bit. So that's all looking very promising. And I guess all we really had to do on this, we rebuilt the carburetor and the fuel, replaced the fuel pump, used spark plugs, and everything else is just as found. We cleaned the points and re-gapped them or whatever, but really haven't done anything else to it. So I think for that, it is awesome. I think, yeah, yesterday I had started it again after the engine had cooled down, and it just fired up instantly. Same thing today, you saw on the video there, just instantly fired up. So I think our issue again was just those plugs being fouled with all the oil I dumped in. Plus there was no compression because the rings were all stuck. So it's all come back together wonderfully, and that's just I think that's where we'll leave it on a high note here, because I mean, Next thing is to see if it goes into gear, and that's a whole nother set of problems there. So the final thing I'd like to mention that I thought was kind of interesting as well is, well, first of all, this is a 235, and I know some people are going to say it's a 216 because of this valve cover, but it is a 235. The way that I usually go off of is these side covers here. On a 216 or an early 235, this side cover comes all the way up to here, like the earlier Chevy 207s or the original stovebolt engines. So on these 235s, the later 235s anyways, this cover only goes down to here. This valve cover will interchange if you use longer studs, but in this case I did some more book learning and things because I'm not an expert on any of this, obviously. So this engine is actually a or 1953 to 1950 to 1953 approximately anyways. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but these early, well, kind of middle of the road 235s, they, according to my research anyways, they still did not have a full pressure oiling system, but they went to the different style head and the shorter side cover. Now, the reason I kind of looked into that is because when I had this valve cover off, normally the 235s, or at least all the ones I've taken apart, even when they have this style valve cover, there's always the holes in the head for the 4-bolt style valve cover, and this did not have those. So I was like, well, what's going on here? It's got the 235 shorter thingy-majig there, and then it also has the 216 style distributor cap. And then so I was kind of looking into that, and then yeah, so this is a approximately 1950 to 1953 engine, which again, according to my research, still had Babbitt bearings, but I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, just some more engine nerding out, and I learned something. So I don't know, most of you probably already knew that, but I didn't, so there you go. So what's the point of all of this? Why do we do this? Why? Well, there is a plan in my brain. So this body is going on this frame. This frame is going to be used on our chopped and sectioned custom truck project. I needed a 1/2 ton frame for that project, so I've decided to use the one from this truck, and then we'll just put this body onto this frame and get it running and driving, and then move this truck along. I'm still looking for a cab and front fenders well, I still need a cab and front fenders for our custom truck project, but I actually found one for sale yesterday, and then I got all excited about it, and then I went to check my bank account, and it turns out I just spent all my money again on this and that 66 C10 that we picked up, so I have no money left, so I'll just have to hold off on finding another cab. But cabs and front fenders are easy to get, frames are getting harder to find, so that's our whole scheme there. Still waiting on parts for the 66 C10, so that's coming up as well. But as far as the YouTube thing goes, I just do what I'm gonna do anyways. So this week we were getting this thing running. Next week I don't know what we're doing, but I know we haven't done a lot of full-on metalwork lately. We're trying to build up to that, but I gotta sell this thing, or I gotta make this thing into a truck again, sell that so I can afford to do the 66 C10, which is going to be the next project. And after that, I'm hoping that our chopped and sectioned project will kind of take more of a priority, but that's all up to kind of how YouTube goes. Anyways, what else is new? I think a few of you know, about a month or so ago, I was forced into making a Facebook account, and I think some of you have tried to get a hold of me on there, and just so everyone knows, I guess I got banned from Facebook. I tried logging in, it just says that my account is suspended or something, and then they wanted me to like send pictures of myself to prove that it's me, but I don't have any pictures of myself on there, so I sent them pictures of my cats, and I think now I'm like permanently banned or something from there. So if you've been trying to get a hold of me on Facebook, I can't get into there anymore. So sorry. I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna even mess around with it. I think it's just a scam that they're running to try and get personal information from me, because I don't know. I don't have time for that garbage. So just thought I'd let everyone know that. Yeah, that's what's going on there. What else? Those of you who don't know, I put out every video up on Patreon for patrons of the show. I put it up about 12 hours before the regular video gets released, and I put the video up on Patreon without ads because I figure, you know, they're paying for the show, so they don't need to sit through any ads. So that's kind of the one thing I try to do for them. But it does add extra work because I have to upload the video twice to YouTube and go through their whole thing. So it's going to be another late night here getting that done, but that's just the way it is, I guess. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching this thing. And thanks to our patrons and all the people who have donated to the show. Without those folks, I wouldn't be doing any of this nonsense right now, or I wouldn't be filming and making videos about it at least. So I'd still be messing with old cards, but that's another problem for another day. So take care, and we'll see you again next week.